let's say I have a lot of time, but I don't have a lot of money, and you have a lot of money, but not a lot of time, and we both want to play the same game, I can play and then earn the in-game token. And if it's an ERC20 token, I can sell it to you. This is a better version of gaming, a better version of collectibles, and this will happen. And so then it was a simple question that I had to ask myself. I'm 37. If I don't go after this dream, somebody else is going to go do it. And many will do it either way, right? But if I don't do this, I think I would have regret.
Welcome back to your Joyage. It's Cade, your guide. I'll be replacing the voice edit for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first, thank you for listening or viewing on whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, drop a like in this video so that people can find the voyage. Today we have Mr. Timothy Juiced from Koin Games, CEO, founder. Freaking awesome. We reviewed the project the other day, and we figured we would set up an interview for everybody. So welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Cade, for having me.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Good to be here.
100%. So typically when I start, we just talk about you. Like, how the hell did you become CEO of Koin Games? I did a little bit of stalking on your socials and some of your career stuff. I saw you worked in marketing. You have a lot of experience in the business world. How'd you go from that into, like, let me start a freaking video game empire of Koin Games? How does that even happen?
Yeah, exactly. I actually originally went to a Bible college, so I went to Bible school, and I got a degree in theology of all things. So, just wanted to use my life to make the world a better place, I guess, was the general thought, and why I spent 3 years there. And then, went into sales and realized I was, good with people. I like people a lot, genuinely. And I guess that's a good trait when it comes to sales. And so my sales career kind of took off at around 20 years old. And I became one of the top guys in the country for Verizon. Then I went to a different company selling phone internet cable as well, and then moved into alarm sales, and then into smart home. And even now, I've built up, gone from being like a top rep to manager to regional to VP, all the way up. And it's been a phenomenal career, really, really fun. Got to change a lot of lives along the way and produce, really amazing income for my family and myself. And it's been amazing, and I've loved every minute of it. And it's taught me a lot too. I've realized I'm good with people, like you mentioned in the review. I guess good at getting on camera and chatting and talking or whatever. But but more than that, I think finding talent, learning how to run a company, just the intangibles of building an organization that grows and doesn't fall apart, doesn't shrink. And even just like culture, like my sales teams, as you see in the background here, I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and my sales teams are called the Jedi, and we do custom shirts and incentives for door-to-door sales guys, that are designed around Star Wars themed stuff, because I'm a nerd,
I need a job. Make a job for me. Let me join the team.
And and people love it. Yeah, and what it does is I've learned that it elevates something like door-to-door sales into this other realm where we're like, we're selling security systems, so we're protecting people, but on top of that, we were like, we're like the Jedi. We're here to do good on the earth, protect people, whatever, right? So, and people love being a part of something. So I realized I was good at those things, and at the beginning of this year, I've always been, ever since I was young, I love video games. I'm 37, so I'm a bit older. And so I've been playing games for a long time. And throughout the years, as I went from console gaming, I owned every single console that's ever come out, even handheld, then into building my first custom computer so that I could play World of Warcraft 12 hours a day. I've always loved that fantasy world that you can kind of make your own world out there. And for me, for many years, it was an escape, because I wasn't actually, up until 19, I was shy, introverted, not confident in anything I'd ever done, never made any money. I literally went from $12 an hour to my first 6-figure job when I went into sales. And so in a year, so like it was pretty day and night between who I was before sales and who I was after. And but I've loved everything to do with gaming and just the fun it brings, and really some of my fondest memories with my younger brother was around gaming, because we didn't grow up with a lot of money. So for me, gaming was, it's not that expensive,
Yeah.
and it's a total escape from everything, right? So I loved it for all those reasons. And like some of my strongest friendships are still around people I met with World of Warcraft or whatever, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, so I loved that. And then in 2017 found crypto and fell in love there as well. I mean, for all the reasons that we love crypto, it's decentralized. It feels like it empowers the
Yeah.
people, not the elites of the
The
world that
elites.
run the world. It's like, yeah, exactly. It's like freedom,
Mhm.
and there's I don't know, there's just so many things about it that I guess are somewhat romantic in the way that, in their concepts. But yeah, always loved that. And so it wasn't until the beginning of this year, so 2021, that it all kind of came together when I read the article from Beeple, about Beeple selling that $69 million
I
NFT,
remember
right? I
that like
mean,
that was
insane,
yesterday. It was
crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I mean, that's so much money. And you just think like, and then you start to think about the person who has that much money. Why would they choose that, right?
Hmm.
They could have bought like a chain of apartment complexes. They probably could have bought an
Yeah.
island. I mean, they probably could have bought
Probably should
a
have
brand,
maybe.
a fashion brand. I mean,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Yeah. But why? Yeah, exactly. But why this image, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously I knew part of it was the same reason that uh, Banksy artwork sells for crazy amounts of money. There's the story, and the status and the
Mhm.
whatever, right, that goes into it, that it matters to the people it matters to. But beyond that, I just didn't even understand the technology. So I started researching NFTs, what they were and how they worked. And once I understood that how they were different from regular crypto, where
Mhm.
there was a unique line of code that could be followed around the internet. You could, you could move it around, trade it, value it, transact it, sell it. You could claim ownership over whatever was attached to it because you owned that underlying code,
Right.
and the whole world can't dispute that. I mean, I could technically have a fake, painting in my house,
Mhm.
and the real one could be in Europe, and I could be claiming this one's the real one, and no one would even
Exactly.
know. Whereas NFTs, you can't do that. The
Mhm.
whole world at a moment's notice can verify ownership and where it's been and what the track record of that thing was and what the price of ETH was when it first became
Yeah.
popular. And I mean, all those things, right? It's all built into the NFT. So, I mean, it's beautiful. So, and yeah, it was just one of those light bulb moments where I'm like, this is just a better form of art collectibles. And the question I asked myself, I have two kids. You may at some point hear them in the background of this interview getting loud, but I asked myself, will my kids collect like physical Pokemon cards or digital? And will they be going over to their friend's house with a big box of cards or a big, binder to open them up and battle, or will they use their iPhone to do it?
God, those were the
And to
good days, though.
me,
Man, I remember those
they
days.
are, yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's always going to be a nostalgia for
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
That'll never go away. But like from a mass usage and the experience, the user experience, which one is the better one? Where
100%.
your cards don't deteriorate, you can't sell them, or you can't, you can't, you can value them instantly, you can sell them instantly, and the fact that you're in Colorado and I'm here, we can play each other with digital cards, but we can't with physical right
Mhm.
now, right? I mean, one of us would have to go to the other one, and
Yeah.
that would, be a lot. So I just like with Uber being a better version of a taxi, and whatever, Airbnb being a better experience than a hotel. If it's better for the consumer, life will always find a way to make it work. And so I don't know. It felt like collecting cards digitally or collecting anything digitally would eventually win over collecting it physically, as far as in mass adoption. And then I started, and back then I didn't even Twitter hadn't announced anything, but I suddenly thought, man, I bet you they'll integrate your collection into your social media, so you literally can show off your collection to the whole world, which is, whether good or bad, it is part of the world we live in, where people want to flex whatever, right? Their car, their watch, their all that stuff. And so to be able to flex your digital collectibles on your social media, and we're already seeing signs of that. All these athletes and musicians in the last month have bought into Bored Ape Yacht Club. That is the new flex. I mean, that's, it's a $300,000 item, but you can flex it to the entire world on your social media account, where they really can't show off their watch every day. I mean, what are they going to take a picture of it and put it up on social media? So in so many ways, I just saw this light bulb moment. And then and then it wasn't long after that that I started thinking about the possibilities of gaming. And then I had another light bulb moment where I realized, man, let's say I had played World of Warcraft. I don't know if you ever played, WoW, but let's say I'd played World of Warcraft, and every item in World of Warcraft could have technically been on the blockchain, and I could have owned it, and I could still own it. It could still be items that I could remove, that I could sell, one of ones. And maybe really old items that came out in the vanilla version of the game would now be worth thousands of dollars because they're considered collectibles. And there'd be a whole nother, concept to that game, and maybe even more longevity. And so I started just thinking through how, again, asset ownership in games is better for the player. And if let's say I have a lot of time, but I don't have a lot of money, and you have a lot of money, but not a lot of time, and we both want to play the same game, I can play and then earn the in-game token. And if it's an ERC20 token, I can sell it to you on my own liquidity pool that we start in Uniswap, not even started by the company. Even for legal reasons, it can't be started many times by the company, but the players can choose to transact that, and they can do it now on decentralized exchanges. So anyway, with all that together, it was just one of those moments where I'm like, this is better. This is a better version of gaming, a better version of collectibles, and this will happen. And so then it was a simple question that I had to ask myself. I'm 37. If I don't go after this dream, somebody else is going to go do it. And many will do it either way, right? But if I don't do this, I think I would have regrets. So I just decided 10 months ago to start Coin Games. And so I then reached out to a few friends that were very experienced in the world of crypto, and had actually started some blockchain companies in the past. They had vast contacts and, experience. And so I partnered with them initially. I actually started by paying two of them to be advisors. And within like 3 weeks, they refunded me the money and came on
No
full time.
way.
And
Cool.
and that's when the company really started. So we very quickly went from like 3 people to 5 to 8 to we're up to 25 now, I think,
Wow.
working for Coin Games. And and so that's kind of the start of it. And then the PFP project came about halfway through the developments, which I can talk about that now if you want, or I don't know if you have any other quick questions in between. But yeah,
No, I mean,
that
let's
was the
just keep
beginning of
going on
Coin
that.
Games.
Let's just keep going on that. I have more other
Okay.
questions, but we can definitely we'll do that after.
Sure. So then we started, so with my background, I've been fortunate to do really well in business. So for us, the first thing wasn't like, how do we go raise money, which is what most projects do. They create a white paper, they go to VCs, and they just, offer a bunch of their tokens in exchange for some money, and then they go build. And then, hopefully in a few years, they come out with a product. We didn't need any money, so we were just in a place of building. So I started hiring artists. We hired like 3 artists right away, started developing the concept art. I actually started writing my own fiction book like 4 years ago, just for the fun of it.
Hell
And
yes.
and that's the basis of the lore for our
Oh,
game.
that's
So
I
once
love
people see
that.
the lore, yeah, it's so cool because I never knew how we would actually use it,
Yeah.
and now here it is. It's literally being used in the game.
That's so cool.
So I'm fully nerding out. I mean, this experience is like amazing for me. I love it, and it's so crazy because the modern version of me, most of my guys that know me in sales, they have no idea that I have this background in just crazy amounts of gaming and
That's funny.
just all things, nerd related. So but I just so we started building that out. We kept hiring people. We've been, looking. I mean, it can be pretty hard to find good talent, to be honest, and we want really, really good guys. Our project is very ambitious, and we know that, and so we've got to hire, really talented people. So it's been a process of finding the right blockchain guys. We just now partnered up. We had some blockchain guys in house, but since we're building out everything, white label wallet, exchange, kind of our own custom exchange, and everything needed to connect the game development to the blockchain. We really have to have our own team. And so we just are in the process now, today, of sending over agreements to kind of bring on a whole nother group that has had a ton of development in blockchain. And so, so all really exciting things. So we just started building. And then about I don't know, 4 months in, 4.5, 5 months in, I was starting to research NFTs because I'm like, I kept hearing about Bored Apes and how they blew up to 6 ETH at the
Yeah.
time, which is so cheap right now, but at the time it was like 6 ETH.
Man.
And yeah, I know, crazy, right? And I don't own one, and I'm like, the other day I'm staring at one for 52 ETH, thinking
Jesus
like,
Christ.
that seems like a pretty good price. I know
God.
it's crazy, but yeah. And so anyway, so long story short, I minted the Doge Pound for the first time. That was my first NFT that I minted, and yeah, I loved it. And I thought to myself, all right, what do I have to lose? Eventually, Elon is going to tweet about Doge. It's going to go up again, and then maybe
Probably.
these NFTs will sell, right? So I was like, I didn't even realize they were not even connected at the time. So I minted 7 of them,
Wow, nice.
and I still have 5.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I went through that process and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. And then I joined the Discord and I verified, and I suddenly realized the true magic behind the good PFP projects,
Mhm.
which are really, you're building a community.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
finding your group of people, and you start realizing that, of course, some of these things are going to just keep going up and up and up and up,
Mhm.
because are there 10,000 human beings on the earth that when they find out they can join XYZ community like World of Women, and they can be a part of women owned and supported projects, and they can, support women, female entrepreneurs, and especially stuff in the NFT space, are there 10,000 ladies out there that would want to be a part of that? The answer is yes. So then
100% yes.
naturally, the floor is just going to keep rising. It's just going to keep rising. I mean, in 10 years, as long as those people are still building, World of Women will be, better than it is today. I mean, that's just the truth. There'll be ups and downs, of course, but eventually you'll get rid of the people who did it just for investment sake, and you'll do it. Like 2 days ago, I was talking to a girl who's, her husband works with me, and she wanted to get into NFTs. And my first piece of advice, and it was around women-based NFTs. My first piece of advice was buy the World of Women avatar and join the community and get to know some of the ladies in the community and see what they've done and read up on the history and make connections, because that's where I would start if you just want to learn. And so, are there 10,000 other women like her? Of course there are. There's hundreds of thousands. And so, anyway, so I realized the magic behind these communities, and that's when it dawned on me how we would launch our own PFP, and we would be able to find our people that want to build a video game with us, and people that want to be a part of investing in a game, essentially, or be a part of the ecosystem of that game early. And I thought to myself, there are definitely 10,000 people out there like me who would have loved to be able to build a video game with a studio. And so let me just let them do that. So we describe our kind of ethos. The company name is Koin Games, which a lot of people just think that's like a play off of Bitcoin, with a K, but it's actually short for the Greek word koinonia, which is a community. And so that's actually what it
Okay.
stands for, is community games.
Cool.
And so our whole idea is that we are built and owned and run by the community. And actually, when we release our governance token, it's truly going to be a full DAO governance voting system where the players, the people who own the token, will help make decisions on everything to do with the company, including like future games that we build. What do you guys want us to build? That'll be a voted thing. And so we're following that Alluvium model of really decentralized game studio ownership, where eventually it'll be the people that own the studio and not us, the creators. And obviously we'll always be a part of it, just like with Alluvium. The council is mostly made up of the people that work for the company,
Mhm.
because who better to be a part of that than those guys. And
Exactly.
so anyway, yeah, so we launched the PFP project. It did really well. We sold 5,555 of them. We sold out in 5 minutes roughly,
It's
and
insane, isn't it? Good
yeah,
God.
and then it is crazy, yeah, and yeah, and so and then we dropped to like 1,800 holders from 1,900. We're back up over 1,900 again now, so we haven't lost very many. We had some flippers, and
Mhm.
what, and then now the floors continue to rise. So we actually just hit our all-time high about a week ago during some of the major dips in NFTs, and it's because I think we have an extremely loyal holder base who are loving what we're doing inside the Discord. Like right now, let's say you were to join, Today we are naming. We're in the midst of naming like two of our characters, two of our heroes, where the community gets to
Oh,
name the
that's
hero.
cool.
Right?
Fuck
We're
yeah.
not doing that. Yeah, it's amazing, and people like you can tell they love it. Like one dude I saw the other day, we've named like 10 heroes so far, and he just went into the chat and he's like, dude, it's so cool that I got to name two of these heroes, because he submitted the name and then it was voted as the
Oh,
top name.
hell yeah.
One of the guys, yeah, this is another cool story. So one of the guys, we have like a girl, and she's like an assassin.
Mhm.
She looks like a samurai slash assassin character for the Storm clan. So
Okay.
we've got 6 clans in the lore, and she's the assassin class. And so anyway, they submitted some names. We narrowed it down to 5. The community's been voting, and it was a tight race between 2 names. And right in the final hours, a guy gets onto the Discord and goes, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize what you guys were doing." He said, "That's my daughter's name. One of the 2 names is my daughter's name." And he took a picture of his arm, and there's a tattoo of his daughter's name up his arm, which was a super cool tattoo. And all of a sudden, the community rallied around that,
They
and
just picked
a
that
lot
name.
of people changed their vote, and then they picked that name. Yeah. So
Oh,
now the
wow.
dude can literally go back to his daughter and be like, sweetie, they named this character after you. And so, I mean, I don't know. As a creator, I just love that. I think that that's the real reason why Coin Games exists. And so, anyway, I just yeah. So, long story short, we've just been building, continued hiring. We've released a couple things. We've got obviously some stuff coming out soon. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey. So we're sitting at probably 1,900 holders. Every day, a few new guys come in. Recently, I spoke to a mutual friend who's kind of big into crypto, and once he kind of understood everything I was doing and all the benefits you get by holding our avatar, because our avatar, we call it really a utility NFT, because it comes with about 6 different things you get over the next year and a half until we finish building the game, year and a half to 2 years, that you get by holding that avatar as incentives. And then there's one final one that's going to kind of make it the forever hold by staking your NFT inside our game, and then what you get by doing that. And so I can at any point, hit those 6 or 7 things. But basically, anyway, just recently a guy came in. I explained it to him. This was 2 days ago, and he's like, "Oh, dude, this is crazy." He's like, "All right, I'm aping in," and I didn't know what that meant, but he bought 20 avatars at like $2,000, 2,500 a piece. Just
Jeez.
put in 40, 50 grand in an hour. And he's like, "Dude, this is amazing. I'm so glad I'm early. This is really cool." So yeah, so it's been a crazy ride, and we are figuring a lot of things out. I mean, blockchain gaming is so new.
Yep.
Like how many active games can you play right now? You can count them on
Yeah.
2 hands. But it's like our goal is to make an uh, amazing game first and a blockchain game second. And I can obviously talk about the game, but yeah, so that's
Well,
that's kind of been the journey to where we are now.
hell yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are looking to be mobile, right? For your game?
Yeah, it'll start as browser, and then obviously mobile right after that. So
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
the goal is Android and then iPhone. Apple still hasn't totally made up their mind on crypto based games. What we're going to be doing is the blockchain, crypto portion of it will be kind of on the back end of the game, and so I think we'll be totally fine being in the Apple App Store. But that's why you don't see really any real crypto games in the current Apple App Store right now. You
Hmm.
can do them on test flight, like actually, maxed
Yeah.
out their test flight, whatever, and they haven't actually moved into the real App Store. So, we may have to do that, but we actually, our whole goal is we're planning for the next 10 to 15 years, both from a legal perspective, from a design perspective. So even the way that we're choosing to do our in-game token as a pure consumable and our governance token as a pure governance token, and we're not mixing the two, that's because we feel that that's the model from a legal perspective in the US that's going to last the test of time. And so we're not in this for the short term. We're in this to be here the next 10 to 15 years. My goal is to be one of the biggest well-known blockchain gaming studios when you fast forward 10 years from today. Hundreds of people working with the company, multiple titles under our belt, and even helping other companies come into blockchain as well. So that's the big vision. But obviously we got to prove ourselves and execute now before anyone should believe any of that. But yeah.
Hell
So
yeah, man. I mean, you're all about. Let me just actually address anyone watching before I ask my next question. There's a bunch of things you just said, and if you are an NFT creator of a project, especially if you're trying to branch into games, if you haven't thought of at least 85 to 90% of what he just said already, and have already gone through it in your head, and haven't panicked and broken under the pressure, you really need to ask yourself if you're doing an NFT project with 10,000 avatars and you've taken 5 million people's dollars worth of money, there's a lot more work and then a million times more than that to actually make this work, because what NFTs
yeah,
are startups. They're just startups. So when you invest in a new project, especially, you're betting that the team is capable, the team is competent, which is like, I feel like nowadays everyone can just say, oh, I do this, I worked here and I'm competent, I can do this. And it's actually a lot more work. And all the things you said, there's illegal stuff you have to deal with. You got to hire teams, there's payroll, you have artists, there's all these different factors, and people don't think about all those things. So I just want to make sure people are watching, because there's a lot of people who are new creators who've been messaging me, what do you think about this project? What do you think about my project? Should I work on this? Should I try on that? And it's a learning process. So absolutely anyone can get in, but it is good to just remember that this is a big game and there's some big players, and experience and knowledge matters in this space. Whether or not you believe it, it's true. And with a team like you and hearing the things you were talking about, your experience in the space, a lot of your mindset perspective things, I thought I was hearing myself speak, because it's stuff I've thought about and it's stuff that more people need to be thinking about, because the things that matter are the game. They are the lore. They are the brands. They are the team. It's people being transparent. You guys letting them pick actual characters that are going to be in a game that could potentially be played by millions of people. That's epic. Like that's awesome. And that's what matters. Not, are we going to have staking tomorrow? Like what happens if like this thing, or the floor price is down today? It's like, guys, and that's like arguing over an adjective on a book that's 20,000 chapters long, and you're worried about one page.
yeah,
It's just not that
right,
important. And
yeah,
so I just want to highlight that, because that was a great bit you got, and I bet there's so much information in there that people are going to take from it. But my next question is, you came from a big background in business, entrepreneurship. It sounds like, at least for entrepreneurship, and the way you think
yeah.
is very macro level, very realistic. How much of your experience in sales and your jobs prior, before your branch into blockchain gaming and stuff, do you think is the reason that Coin Games will be one of the biggest gaming platforms? Do you think all that experience is the reason, or
Yeah, so I that's a great question. I do think that my experience helps me in a lot of ways. I think that my lack of experience is a real thing that, like if I'm not a tech person, right? So I say that up front. That's either going to hurt or help my cause when people are choosing to invest or come along the ride with us. But I also can say, with confidence, that I know how to find really talented
Mhm.
people, and I know where my weaknesses are. So, like, the people that I've already surrounded myself with are guys that with a heavy experience in the area of blockchain. Even now, I'm hiring a guy to work alongside me that has worked in only tech startups, and he's helped multiple startups go public.
fire?
Now, he's not actually from the blockchain space, but he knows how to take a product and take it in through. And I think, for me, I think one of the downsides to the fact that I'm not a native crypto guy is that we probably move a bit slower actually than your average crypto project. And to your point, people, yeah, in the very beginning, there were guys jumping in like, dude, the floor price is going
Yeah.
up. And I didn't really care if it went up or down because
Right.
I'm like, this is like 2 years.
Doesn't
Like,
matter. You're not going to sell it
like I
anyway.
only really care. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're either in this or you're not in this. So who cares what a floor price is? And
Exactly.
when you realize that one guy can single handedly lower the floor price 30% just if he gets impatient over
Yeah.
the course of a week.
Floor
I mean, it
price
can
is
be
an
one
arbitrary
one
number.
PFP. Correct. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I've had to like slowly sell the community on that, and I think as we've like found that group, I just knew, in the end, the people who want to be with us, they'll be with us, and they'll lock in long term. And that's what we started to see, where we have less than 6% of our total avatars even for sale, so it's a really
Wow.
small amount.
Wow. Holy
And
shit.
for
Wait,
like such
you
an
said
undercover,
6%?
yeah, yeah, I think we're sitting at like
Jesus.
6.2% or maybe just under 6% for sale. That's it.
Wow.
I mean, the floor is like razor thin if someone just came in and wanted to buy.
Yeah. Wow.
We have one whale we call him like our friendly whale. He's a big Axie player, and he came in early. He never minted any. He bought every single one of his PFPs off the open
Wow.
market, but he owns 225 of them, and which is crazy if you think about how many that is. 225 that he's purchased off the open
Yeah.
market, and and he hasn't sold a single one. And he kind of like realized what we're building, and he's like, yeah, I'm in this for the long haul. And so, I mean, if one more whale came in, we would almost have no supply, so that's really interesting to think about,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think I think that my experience in running a company, I think that will really, really help, just because I know how to make a culture where my own people don't want to leave. They
Yep.
love
Yep.
working
Yep.
here. I'm finding a lot of people that are multiple people in my team, multiple people in my team so far have run their own companies in the past, whether
Hmm.
it's in marketing and branding and whatever. And we're at the stage now where they're starting to kind of almost bring their company under our umbrella permanently with all their people. So
Hell yeah.
we're almost absorbing smaller organizations as we build this team out, because they see the vision, they see what I'm doing. I think I've done really well. Not only have I been in sales, but I've been one of the top awarded people. I've even won some national awards. So if you kind of search my
No big
name, you can
deal.
find them. But I've I've been to Vegas, for like a big award ceremony that was broadcast live on TV. So like,
Hell yeah.
nobody cares
Cool.
about it because we're not famous people, but it's called
Yeah.
the Stevie Awards, and it's about the highest award you can win in business and marketing. I
Wow.
do think those things will help for sure. Um, I think that we maybe will move a little slower. I think that would be, if I could give a downside to the way we are.
That
We're
sounds
probably
like a
not
good
going to just
thing.
wing it as much. Which, yeah, I guess it just depends on what you like, right? It
Hmm.
depends on who you talk to. If
Yeah.
people want
True.
their money back out like that, we're not going to probably be that guy. We likely will be building through a bear market. You know what I mean? And so, but when all the dust settles, I think it's the companies. We are so early. Like, when you realize that there's less than 1 million active users in a year on OpenSea, 1 million in the world. I mean, like, that's insane how early that is compared to where we'll be in 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think that the guys who can identify projects that are going to be around long term, and even for myself as an investor, I've been looking at games to invest in. And as I'm asking myself, is this a short term play or a long term play? I'm looking at the team. I'm also looking at studios that plan to build multiple games, because we got to be
Yep.
real. Like, it's not like the game I'm going to build is going to be around for 30 years. I mean, games die. Games are popular, and then they lose their flavor, right? Auto battlers, whatever. There's the next thing.
Yep.
You can always keep the player base going, and I think the way we are building, we'll have much longer player bases because players will own their assets. There's potentially a chance to sell the in-game gold and whatever. And the fact that the player community helped build the game, I think they'll stick around much longer than your average game. So my gut feeling is that our type of game and the way we're building it is going to last a lot longer than a traditional game. But I mean, even for that, you want to be a part of a studio, and so Koin Games is a studio, and we plan to build multiple games, even within the same IP, which is really key, because the assets that our players are getting now are going to work in game number 2, game number 3, game
Love
number
that.
4. So yeah, it's awesome. Which that's really never been truly done in any traditional
Hmm.
gaming, And I also think that if you put the players first and you put your customers first, basically, like we've learned to do in sales, where it's really about them and not about the profits of the company, you will actually you'll make more money anyway as a company, right?
Always.
So your players will stick around. And so that's why we want to do this whole decentralized ownership model, essentially, with the DAO, being able to control how everything works. So when there's profits in the company, for instance, they're going to go into a vault, and anyone who owns our governance token can tell that vault to purchase to purchase our own token back from the Uniswap pool. But it's not controlled by the company; it's controlled by the community, and then that goes back. That pool is then distributed into the staking and the rewards for the players. So it's really all controlled by the players, which is amazing. And the company is able to make money by staking our own tokens. So essentially, we don't make money unless everyone's making money. So it's a really cool model. And I believe in the long run, I think game studios, indie game studios, are going to love this way of building a
Mhm.
game, because they can focus on the players. They can focus on their community rather than begging one guy out in Silicon Valley to underwrite everything, and then they hand over so much of the company, and then that guy, what does he really want? He wants
Mhm.
more money back out of it, and then companies are forced to build thinking about their investor rather than about their community. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I love people, and I think that's the last thing. I wouldn't have been in this sales job. I mean, my last year I had over 500 sales guys working for me, and so I'm used to giant communities. That's why you even mentioned actually in your brutally honest review, which I love, by the way.
Thanks.
But you mentioned that it's rare that you find a founder like as the front image of the
Yeah.
website, right?
Very.
Um, and I was like, dude, I want to get on camera
Yeah.
and talk. That's what I do anyway. So like, let's do it. I'm hoping that I'm not being annoying by being so active. And so I've
No,
actually
dude.
been now getting a lot of my other team members in to get on camera,
Hell yeah.
with me. And we go live every Thursday in our community, and we do trivia games and do
Nice.
AMAs, give updates, and then we do. And then I've been actually doing this thing because I'm a big DGen NFT investor myself. So
Oh,
I have
okay.
almost 700 NFTs
Holy
personally
shit.
already in 9 months,
My
or
God.
6 months, really 5 months. Yeah, crazy amount. But anyway, a bunch of them are basically almost useless at this point,
Yep.
illiquid, and so I've been giving those away as
That's
prizes.
funny.
We call it Tim's illiquid NFTs, and so we play silly games and we do fun stuff, trivia, and then the community gets to pick from the NFTs that I
That's
have in their
funny.
selection.
I
So
like
anyway,
that.
it's fun. Yeah,
Dude,
it's
it's
been really
funny.
cool.
A lot of the shit you've been talking about, I really feel like I'm speaking to myself. Like all these ideas you have, the vision you have, your mindset toward everything. It's like I feel like it's just amazing. It's literally everything that I talk about in all my videos with branding. I'm like, these are the things that matter. Everything ends up being about brand. I remember hearing about this story. This might have been in Rich Dad Poor Dad, or it was in relation to Rich Dad Poor Dad. Somehow it's related to I think that book. And it's basically about this guy or a girl or guy who wrote a book about sales. He was a salesman, and then this other person who was an artist and an author, and they were doing a book signing at a bookstore. The guy with the sales, who worked in sales, had a line out the door, and the girl who wrote a book that was way better had 16 people in line. And at the end,
Yeah,
she was like, "What the fuck? My
sure.
book's way better than yours." He was like, "Yeah, I know. I just can sell better." And so, like hearing that is
Yeah,
it's such a good perspective shift, because when you have a very powerful brand, I've had so many people reach out to buy my own NFTs, my photography set, just because they like me, or they're like, "Hey, I think your channel's gonna be big in 5 years. I want to buy your NFT. Do you have any?" And so, and then people will reshare my videos. So I'm like, it's about getting people to fuck with you, and they'll do the selling for you. The money comes with the brand, you know? So for me, I don't accept little cash
yeah,
grabs, little promotional things, because I know if my brand grows, the money just has to follow. It doesn't work any other way. And it sounds like you probably believe that money is abundant, opportunity is abundant, because it's true, and you know this,
yes,
and you've tried it,
it
tested
is.
and tried,
Yeah,
and it is. And
yeah,
so when you operate with that, also with your mentality, it's dubs, you know, and you have such a long-term vision that you know that the floor price doesn't matter. And plus the floor price doesn't really affect your project as much, because your money's not coming, like all your money isn't coming from people like buying and selling on OpenSea. So for you, it's like, yeah, it's like floor price
yeah,
is down maybe during the bear market, but it's like, we don't care. We're still doing, like, nothing changes, you know, and the projects need to be thinking about that, because the bear market's coming. It will come. Everyone will burn. That's when I'm going
yeah,
to be buying into projects that have long-term visions, have great teams, experience, and
yes,
are willing to do
yep,
this and talk about it
yep.
before it happens.
Well, yeah, and it's such a good point. Yeah, and even for us, we yeah, we're really internally self-funded, and we're actually using 100% of the money that comes, like the aftermarket royalties, back on the community. So we've
Hell
like
yeah.
hired like a really cool company called Hero Projects to partner with, and they make kind of live animated comic books, and we're turning our lore into essentially a comic book that the community can benefit from. And then we're going to break up the images and turn those into NFTs
Yes,
and do
dude.
these kind of
Yes.
scavenger hunt games. So
Love it.
just some really fun things,
Yeah.
all just for for the community. So we're actually using all that money on the community anyway. But yeah, I totally agree with you, and you're very very right. It's like the people who can define their brand will then automatically define their customer, or whatever you want to call it, their person, their client, their people. And when that's clear, the people that are your people will find their way to you, and they won't ever want to leave. They're like, this is my home.
Exactly.
This is the
Exactly.
place I want to be. I want to be a part of. I know we're not ever, Gary Vee, he's got his own community, World of Women, their own community, Bored Apes, their own community. We're never going to be those guys, but we're the group that if you want to make a video game and come enjoy the process of watching a game be built and be a part of that community and get to see behind the curtain and help us. We're working on a mini game now that's going to come out in late January, and the goal is that it's our analytics engine for the main game where we can test the math and all that. So we're actually having our full stack developers who've never made a game before. We're just letting. It was his idea. He's like, I've never made a game, but I think I can do something that at least uses the math right underneath the game, not the visuals. So we're literally going to have the dev squad, which is what our NFT is called, Koin Games Dev Squad. Our dev squad will be playing the analytics engine and letting us know, like, this sucks, this is fun, this is awesome, try this, change this, this is OP, right? And basically, as that stuff comes together, they're getting to be a part of that. When the final product is out, they're literally going to feel like they were part of that. Their fingerprints were in the video game. And I think we'll make a better video game actually
100%.
than studios who ignore the fans. And I think that we'll have more loyal players and people that feel proud. Like, dude, I got to name that character. Like, forever, that character is in the video game, and I gave him that name. And so yeah, I'm loving the process. Like you said in the beginning, I said that to myself, dude, I'm gonna get to build a freaking video game. And then my very next thought was, everyone should be able to do this with me. So if you want to, come join the dev squad and be a part of it. And yeah, I do think sales skills help. You've got to learn to get across your vision to people, right? And when people can hear your vision, they can grab a hold of that and say, dude, I'm with that. I'm with you. Let's go. And a little plug for yours. I haven't seen your photography, but photography will be one of the next major waves in NFTs. A lot of the big guys are getting into photography now, and it whether it's because the big guys are into it and then they're going to self promote after they bought cheap or whatever, it's going to be a big wave. And so any of your fans should jump into your collection, wherever it is. I'd love to grab some for that that reason, because it'll be a wave. I mean, I think we're going to see when Coinbase opens up the gates for millions of new users to very easily buy an NFT. Because I mean, buying an NFT is hard right now. It's not a simple process.
It's so hard.
Yeah, I've had friends. It's so hard. I've had friends who are like, dude, you're building a video game. Like, how do I be a part of that? And so I explain, okay, you need to get ETH in Coinbase, then get a MetaMask, then transfer it, then go to OpenSea, all this stuff. Anyway, but so 2 hours later, they're like halfway to buying an NFT.
They don't even want it anymore. They're like, fuck it, dude.
No, they're like, just can I give you money?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell you how many people recently have been like, can I just give you money? Well, can I put money in your bank account? You can even keep some of it. Just send me back profits every once in a while and show me the pictures of what I own, But when Coinbase, Coinbase supposedly has 68 million wallets with money in it. Now I don't know how many are active, but 68 million.
Jesus.
And we have less than 1 million active people on OpenSea in a year. I remember the month that we hit 1 billion in revenue the one day. I believe was the number, if I am correct. They that day or that month when they hit that type of volume, they had like 100,000 active wallets that month. And so, I mean, that was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And so, so when you think of the possibility of even 20 million new users, or 10, or even 5 in 2022 coming in, we will be 5xing the volume of people buying. And then you add to that Twitter's doing that whole PFP verification, blue Ethereum checkmark, and then the collectibles tab. And then the last part is all the famous people who want to be in the cool kids club. Because I mean, if you want to be ultra cool, you own NFTs, you launch NFTs, you buy NFTs, whatever. When they start showing off their PFPs and their collectibles and their, one-of-one art and photography collections and all that, like you'll see just the mania happen, right? And as long as you have a creator that's not going anywhere, that's really the key. Is the team, is the creator around for
Yep.
the long haul, or they're going to peace out after they get their money, right? And so yeah. And do they have a model for more reoccurring revenue? Because that's actually something you got to think about. Because I've like some of these creators, they launch a project,
Yep.
they make $1 million, but nothing in their roadmap ever provides enough value to
Mm-hmm.
lead to more money in the future. So you got to hope that that guy gets his million and he's cool essentially working for free for years,
Yep.
right? And if he's not, then that project will die.
Yep.
And so, and obviously, like that's why I'm really bullish on gaming NFT projects like mine and like many others I can name that I'm invested in, because those models at least have for future reoccurring revenue in their video game ecosystem that'll keep the studio running, which will mean the NFTs can grow exponentially in value as long as they're tied somehow into the game ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn out there, but it is, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, we should all congratulate ourselves on being super early. I told a friend, it's almost like hats were invented for the first time, and we know hats are going to eventually be like a thing where most people will own a hat, but right now nobody owns hats, and everyone who sees it on their head is like, what is
Yeah.
that thing? And why, what does it do? You know, it's intriguing to a lot of people, it's confusing to most people, but we know that hats are going to be a big
We know
deal,
it.
and the original hats that are being created right now,
Yeah.
as long as those brands are still around in 10 years, they're going to be worth a lot of money, right? And a lot of
Exactly.
clout and a lot, because dude, I predicted the hat craze before it was even a
Exactly.
thing, you know? And most
Yep.
people are just like, why has he got that thing on his head? That makes no sense, you know? But anyway,
Yeah.
so
Well,
yeah,
it's,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
for me, it's like
It's
I have that vision
exciting.
too, and for me, I'm like, dude, these, I don't know which NFTs are gonna win. No one can know. It's all speculation still, but I'm holding
Correct.
most of my 2021 NFTs because I'm like, look, it's a few $1,000s, but I never thought of NFTs as an investment. They're more an idea, or maybe more of an investment into a future world rather than investing in small, like certain
Yes.
projects. I just think of it as paying to play, paying to learn. That's how I've always looked at NFTs. So I'm not really looking to make money off NFTs, and I never really was, especially when I realized it's fucking hard, and most people don't. But when you said we're so early, we're almost too early. We're almost so early that it's impossible to
Correct.
think with a macro level unless you have some type of prior experience that would give you insight to think that way. Because most people are in this flipping mindset. Well, is this going to go up by next? Do you think it'll be worth more next month? And it's like that should not be the question that comes to your mind. It should be, will this be here in 10 years?
Right.
If it's here in 10 years, the answer is
Yes.
yes, or it's no, and you shouldn't buy it. But a lot of people are asking the wrong questions, and that's why my whole channel is here, because there's not that much NFT content that's actually helping anyone. It's just kind of pushing more of the narrative. It's like, hey, throw your money here, maybe it'll work. Throw your money there, maybe it'll work. Throw your money here, and I'm just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? This is stupid. And so sometimes I get upset and like angry in my videos. And I'm like, you shouldn't, like, this is so stupid. And that's kind of what my brand has become. But I mean, I feel like that kind of like, to be able to pull yourself emotionally out while also being 100% emotionally invested, because NFTs are that we're building with the startup, like as it's going up. So you have to have
Yes.
your emotional tie in there
Yes.
to be able to look at it objectively and say, am I being an idiot right now? Or is this the right team? Is this the
Sure.
right everything here? And so that's what I'm so
Right.
passionate about. And it sounds like, I mean, you guys, if that's really the mindset you guys are operating with, and that's the vision you guys have, and everyone's on board with that, then this sounds like every single checkbox I have in my entire head is being checked off, and so that's awesome. Was there anything else you wanted to add on that point?
No, yeah, just exciting, and yeah, I mean, I think your viewers definitely are, as long, stay tuned in, because the mindset that you're saying, and the one that I feel like I'm figuring out, is exactly that. I've already paid my dues. I've done well in NFTs in the 6 months, but like there was so much wasted money
Yeah,
just due to the quick mindset, and I've time and time again now I'm feeling that in the mania there's stuff that like just moons because everything's mooning, and
mm,
we'll have that again, but the
yeah,
problem is that it won't be the stuff that mooned before that just
yeah,
died. It'll be new stuff that's coming out that'll moon. But you can learn to find trends. I mean, like, again, one of my biggest wins was Bears Deluxe. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but
hold on, you cut out
um
first.
uh
There you go.
yeah, I realize. Okay. Yeah, one of my biggest wins was Bears Deluxe. And so I don't know if you're
Nice.
familiar with that one,
Mm,
but I I got really lucky. I bought 42 of them the day they dropped to OpenSea at
Jeez.
0.01,
Oh
and
my
the floor is
God.
3 ETH right now. Yeah. So, I have 30 left. I have 30 left
Nice.
at a 3 ETH average value, and so that was a
Jesus.
huge, huge, huge win. But that was following. Yeah, it's crazy, right, when you think about it. But that was following trends that I'd been seeing, and then I noticed that there was a real team behind it with the two creators, that they were making an actual video game. They actually already almost had a playable video game ready to go. Not that it really connected with your PFP yet, and then I could see that these were dudes that were passionate. They're going to be in it, and as long as they got funding, they would never leave. They love their community.
Mhm.
They love what they're doing. And then obviously, the nitrous hit. Andy Milanakis posted about it. Then some Kongs got in, and then it was just a perfect storm. And then
Mhm.
before, and luckily, it actually blew up before I had a chance to do the smart thing and sell when I
Yeah.
was 10x or 20x, because most of them I still had, but when it went to a 1 ETH floor, and then since then it popped up, and everything in me was like, just dump and take your profits. But the other part of me is like, no, this is going to be around. And so I took a tiny bit of profits to really make sure I had a nice win on the books. But then I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hold again, because I believe in this team and I believe that they'll follow through, and these things will go in cycles. But even just when I decided to play this game called, giving away Tim's illiquid NFTs, it's crazy the amount of NFTs I have that are worth just nothing, that I
Yeah.
spent like good money on. Like, I mean, it's
I know.
embarrassing how
I believe
many,
you.
you know, 30, 20, 30 ETH on just garbage, right? And stuff that I was literally buying that I was planning to sell later that day. I mean, like, how
Yeah.
short term can you get? And
Same.
but it is addicting. You watch people make money. You watch one thing that because I watch the activity feed quite often when I'm bored, and so on OpenSea, and that's where I've found some big wins. And I'll see something trending and I'll see it selling, and I'm like, dude, that'll make money. And then you don't buy into it, and a week later it's 10, 15x,
Yeah.
and you're kicking
Every
yourself
time.
like Wolf Game. I saw the sheep at 0.07. I was like literally looking at them at 0.07. And they went to 4 ETH at their
Yeah.
peak or whatever.
Damn.
So it's like, you miss crazy money, and then you, like, almost like a guy who missed a good hand in poker. You're on tilt now, and now you're just diving into
Yeah.
nonsense trying to
Exactly.
recreate that thing. Just And then you can't even, the gas fees are not even worth selling it. So the reckoning is coming, like you're saying, and the blue chips are going to be around. And I think if people can work their way up to certain blue chips, there's just no doubt that each cycle is only going to strengthen. It's going to separate the herd again. The
Mhm.
nonsense will fall away.
Yep.
The strong communities will get better. People reallocate into strong communities, and then the cycle will begin again. And but now is the time to just be educating. I mean, even if you're a viewer and you have $500 to invest, like, don't invest. Actually, just wait. Just watch the
I
market,
agree.
learn, study, just ask questions. You can join most of these discords without owning the PFP, and
Yep.
just get in and figure out what's a positive discord, what's a bad discord,
Mhm.
how active are good founders versus bad founders, right? How active are they on social media? Are they a docs team or are they not a docs team? Do they look like they're in this for the long haul, or do they look like they're just a hyped project where some kids decided to make some money?
Yep.
And start to figure out what's a good project, what's a bad one, why did this one still stick around? Go study the top 10 projects that are still here
Mhm.
after a year, and the community is still building. And we're early enough where if you study this and you can train your brain to pick these things, if in 2-3 years you've saved up a couple grand, you could make some moves that then
Mhm.
could do the next wave. You
Exactly.
don't need to FOMO in because you feel like you're missing out on quick flips.
Yeah. You're
There'll always be another one.
you're
There'll
absolutely
be another
right.
one in a month.
Yeah, and for anyone who
Yeah.
didn't hear anything he just said, that last sentence was the most important. There will be another one. There's always another one. The
Yes.
floor can always dip
Yes.
lower. The floor can always get higher. It will always happen. And
Yes.
that's another abundance mindset. You just know that there's opportunities everywhere, around every corner. When you fuck one up, there's another one that pops up. When you miss one mint that went to the moon, there's another one that happens tomorrow. And so it's so important that people think about that. And I have the exact same mindset. Every time someone asks me, what am I supposed to buy? I tell them absolutely nothing. Spend 6 months learning and then buy.
Yes.
And if you have
Yes.
$4,000,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
4,000 better be barely a quarter of what you actually own. If 4,000 is what you own, you
Correct.
throw a couple hundred, and if you only have a couple hundred, don't even bother because you're gonna lose. And so that's what I tell
No.
people. I'm like, I have
Yeah.
to be
Correct.
realistic. Like people who are in my real life saying, how do I get in? For most of them, I'm like, look, unless you're willing to dedicate like half your life over to this, it's really not worth it, honestly. And it's hard because it's a big barrier to
No,
entry, I
there's
think.
Yeah, and it's too early to really fully take advantage of it. There aren't vehicles. Like I recently spoke in front of an investment firm and I was teaching NFTs, and like it's supposed to be an hour talk. It ended up being 2 hours. They
Holy
had
shit.
so many questions. Only one guy in the room had even really knew what an NFT was. Everybody else, there a lot of wealthy people. Some guys in there sold their companies for hundreds of millions. So I mean, they're wealthy people. And at the end, they said, "Hey, can we just give you a few $1,000,000 to manage for us in
Wow.
NFTs?" And I'm like, no, I don't want the money
Yeah.
to manage for you. I don't want that pressure. Number one, but there's not really other than as I sat down afterwards, I'm like, okay, if I was to do it, I would have bought a few Bored Apes, few of this and that. But even then, like during the next bear market, which could be could be any time now. You could see these things really, if people aren't in it for the long haul, you could see some of these things really die off. And so it has to be money you're willing to lose. But even now, the market is, like you said, it's almost too early where there's not really these things set up where someone can take advantage of the market passively, maybe not get the major upside. You're
Yep.
literally betting on like one
Yeah.
PFP, one community,
Yep.
one whatever, and it's either do or die for a lot of them, and most of them are not going to survive.
Yep.
Most of them won't make it through the next market. But yeah, I think I would just encourage people to learn, get in, read, talk, chat, and understand that there's people in these communities who are hyping a project, but they've got so much money to burn. I mean, the original people in these NFT projects, they bought ETH at $12. They bought
Yeah.
ETH at $30. They bought
Yep.
ETH at I was not one of those people. I got in 2017. Basically lost money during the bear market there, came back in, really at the beginning of this year. So like
Yep.
there hasn't been crazy gains. I've done well in NFTs by understanding communities and like figuring out what's a good
Yep.
community and then going hard on those. But yeah,
Yeah, man,
yeah.
and also
But
with
it's exciting. It's a
yeah,
lot of fun.
it's super exciting, and I think this market's perfect if you're willing to go with the mindset that NFTs are the future. If you're looking into any NFTs because you saw the money, you're gonna fail every time. Even if you get in at a good time in the market, you're probably still gonna fail because to operate under that mindset, very few people are successful at that. And I'll argue that all of them are lucky. I don't know how many people bought Bored Apes that actually knew where it was going to be today. And people who have Bored Apes right now are revered to as fucking gods on the internet. They're like, oh my God, you have a Bored Ape. You must be the smartest person on earth. I'm like, dude, 80% of these people bought this as a fucking joke and they got lucky. And that's the same with Kaiju, same with CryptoPunks. Like, they're like, these guys knew everything because they bought CryptoPunks in 2017. I'm like, dude, half of these guys don't even remember that they bought it. Like, that's so important. People look at something like a title and they just that, and I'm like, there's a lot more to this. And if you can look at NFTs with a bigger macro perspective as an idea of a world that we're headed to, that's where you can win. And how you were saying, basically with everything, it's so bullish for people in general. If people can learn the mindset you just talked about in the last hour and the conversation we just had in the last hour, if you can hear what we just said and you're nodding your head like this actually makes way more sense than me blowing money here, blowing money there, unless you have money to throw away. But like you were saying, there's some people with thousands and thousands of Ethereum just sitting in their wallet. They don't give a shit if they lose 500 Ethereum. Like they literally have so much money, some of these people. And so when someone, even influencers, like if Alex Becker buys something, people are like, well, I got to buy it too. I'm like, yeah, but Alex Becker is throwing not even a percentage of his money in and he doesn't even care. I was like, he's not trying to get money out of this. Like Gary Vee says it too. He's like, don't buy what I buy because I'm not buying to flip it. And so if people can change that mindset and adopt some of the things you were saying, those people might make it. They might have a shot at making it. And it's just hard because
Yeah.
there's so many things
Yeah.
going on. But I do wanted to hit a couple. I had a couple questions asked from my Discord and I think Twitter because I tweeted. I was like, does anyone have any
Yeah.
questions? Let's
Let's
see.
do it.
I got. What's your favorite video game that you played as a kid?
So as a kid, I would say, I mean, I don't know what you consider a kid. I mean, my favorite video game of all time is WoW, and then I would say I really loved Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
But probably favorite video game as a kid, I loved the original Halo. But I would say I was still like early teens. even before that would be, I mean, my very first game as a kid was Contra, and then the original SimCity,
Hell yeah.
and on computer, and I loved playing both of those. And so that's like way back, like early. There was also like the RoboCop game,
Yeah.
was one of my favorites, like the original. And yeah, that would be like the early games. But the first game that like really like the one I've spent the most time on still to this day would be WoW, and then after WoW would probably be Skyrim. I actually really loved Skyrim, and that was kind of at a point, and I would say Call of Duty and Halo probably are the four games I've spent the most time on. I did a mix between gaming on computers and then console gaming. I would host like LAN parties at my house, especially once I actually started making some money in sales. I was still in that in between stage. So I had a bunch of TVs, and I would do like 3 days. I'd order food for everybody.
Oh, it's so
I was
cool.
like the house everyone came to.
Fuck
Yeah, it
yeah.
was fun because I was it was and I loved those. And I even I even still had my last few LAN parties after I got married, and my wife is like awesome.
Hell
She's
yeah.
like, she would just be like, yeah, honey, it's fine. She'd come downstairs, clean up the food. We'd all be asleep in front of our
That's
TVs, and then wake
hilarious.
up and go play again. Yeah. So yeah.
That's so cool, dude.
So yeah.
I was gonna. So I guess since we just talked about how long you been married, like how did you guys meet? What was where's love? We all want love. What happened? How'd you get it?
Yeah. So I've been married 14 years. I'm pretty
Cool.
sure. My wife would kill me if I don't know the exact amount of years, but I think that's it. So
That's funny.
14 years. Yeah. So it's we met. We actually technically met. We went to the same church, but we technically met at lunch after church. We went with a giant group of people, and she sat next to me, and her roommate, who knew me, told her to sit next to me, and we talked for a few
Ooh.
minutes, and then I spent the rest of the time talking to my brother about WoW, because I was just a nerd, and my brother and I
Priorities. That's so
were
funny.
very heavy play. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we hung out again, like a week later at her roommate's going away party, and then I got invited a third time to a third going away party for the same roommate. And looking back now, her roommates were trying to set us up,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
cool.
she
That's
never
so
really
funny.
admitted to that. But yeah. So, and then at one point, what they did is they said, "Hey Tim, can you go get us a movie back at Blockbuster back in the day?"
Oh my God,
And
Blockbuster.
and then she's like, yeah, exactly. And then they're like, "Hey Simone," which is my wife's name, "can you you want to go with Tim to pick out the movie and show him where the Blockbuster is?" So they sent us in a car together,
That's funny.
and that's when
Wow.
I started to really take notice, and I was like, this girl's awesome. And yeah, and so we really only dated about 6 months, and then I knew this is the one. She's awesome. She makes me a better person. The Bible talks about that iron sharpens iron. So finding someone that makes you better
Hmm.
is right, the concept of what you look for.
Hell yeah.
And she definitely made me better. I used to curse like a sailor and do a bunch of other things, and she kind of like helped me, just want to be a better person. And so I knew that she was the one, and we got married a year and a half later. 5 years went by, and then we got pregnant and had my daughter Eva, who's 6, and then another 3 years, and my son Judah, who's 3. And yeah, so they're awesome. And so I'm like, that's that's the thing I love most about my life, is my family and my kids. And they're part of the reason why I want to actually do what I'm doing, because I believe that one of the roles as a dad is to live your life as an example to
Yes.
your kids. I
Yes.
actually didn't grow up with a dad myself. My dad passed away when I was 5. So, it was a rough childhood for me, growing up with a single mom, and just really struggled. I'm actually from South Africa. I don't know if
Oh,
you
did not
caught
know
that
that.
in any of the interviews, but I'm not American,
Mhm.
actually. I was born in South Africa, and then I became a citizen, after being here a while. But I grew up until 11 years old in South Africa. And
Mhm.
so we really struggled. It was tough. So for me, I want to be that example. And one of the things I want to show my kids is that when you have a dream, you better freaking go after that dream and
Mhm.
just try your hardest, because
Yeah.
I really believe God puts these desires in us to like lead us in life where we're supposed to go, to make the world a better place around us. So even like, like for you starting a YouTube channel, you have this desire. Where does it go? it's small at first, but as long as you keep doing, it's going to
Yeah.
grow, because passion can't be faked. And if someone loves it, they do it not because of the success, they do it
It's
in
fun.
spite of
I love it.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
They just do it because they love it. Yeah. And, and so obviously, like, we all want to be successful. I mean, there's no, we don't
Sure.
set out to
Sure.
fail, but at the same time, you got to just, if you've got a dream, you owe it to yourself, and you really owe it to the world around you to do it. It's like that thing of letting your light shine.
Yes.
And so, yeah, my kids are a lot of my motivation of why I decided to start the gaming company and just do it. Cause it is kind of crazy. It's like, who decides I'm going to just build a blockchain
I
video
know.
game when you don't know how to do that, and then just start finding people. And now it's like our team is coming together, and I'm like, we can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I've got like some
We got
amazingly
this.
talented people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna freaking do this thing. And it's not only are we gonna do it, it's gonna be good. Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be amazing. And I also realized, it was like the day I realized that the lore in the book I started to write 4 years ago, would literally
Oh,
fit the video game. I
dude.
mean, I was like, oh my goodness, this is meant to be, And so there's just
Man.
been these cool moments along the way. And then it felt selfish to keep it to myself. And that's why I was like, we got to start this dev squad
Yeah.
community. And obviously we made money selling the PFP, but
Yeah.
my goal, and I could even add a couple of these things, but my goal was to return so much value to our holders for holding, that they would look at it as like they were so lucky to be there
Yeah.
early and be a part of it. And so, if you look into our PFP, you obviously get to be a part of the community and help us build the game. That's the coolest part. Beyond that, though, like, in a month, we have our first heroes that we're selling, which are also going to be NFTs. It's like a hero card pack. So our game is like a mix up of essentially like Dota Underlords and Teamfight Tactics with kind of like a Clash Royale 3D board. And then if you look up what Supercell is actually building, they have a new game coming out in about a year called Chess Mini, and that's very similar to some of the concepts we're doing. So it's essentially an auto battler. You have a deck of cards. You build your deck of heroes outside the game. You work all the different things between the synergies between your classes and your clans, and how good your characters are, as well as your own avatar that affects your deck. And then you go into battle, and then there's all the randomness of the shuffle and make your choices. And you have 5 rounds, and you're trying to win, obviously, best out of 5. And yeah, against a real player. And it's really cool, 3D board and all that. And so, we have the first set of cards coming up for sale, the first heroes in roughly about a month, so early
Cool.
January. And the every holder gets automatically whitelisted with their PFP, their Dev Squad avatar. They get whitelisted to be able to buy a certain number of first edition packs of cards at a discount, which will not be available to the general public.
Mhm.
And so, rewarding them. And so we have 3 waves of those. We have one in January, we'll have one kind of in June, and one in December of next year. As we release the Storm Clan, the Nature Clan together, then Fire and Ice, and then Light and Dark, the 6 clans. So that's how we'll release our heroes. And those will be like $15 for a pack of 5 heroes. So we're not pricing them like some of these games, not as a criticism, but like, they're selling their hero for $200 for one character, where we're doing 5 characters in a pack for $15.
Mhm.
Because I want to make it accessible. Now, I don't know what they'll sell on the aftermarket, but
Sure.
I want to make them accessible to kids. And yeah, and so those first editions are only available to holders. The public will have their own regular edition cards that'll be available to them. And then a bunch of other benefits, including you'll be able to actually stake your avatar in the game once the game comes out, and you'll get rewarded with governance tokens that will let you make decisions on behalf of the game. So it'd be kind of like staking an NFT and getting Illuvium for life out of the rewards pool. So pretty amazing, actually. Yeah. So that's our goal long term, is that when you get all your rewards out of holding our NFT, once it's all said and done and the game comes out, you stake that NFT, and you just continue to get a free kind of draw on the rewards, the staking pool, as if you're staking actual governance tokens. So you'll be able to stake governance tokens or stake the PFP. So I think our holders in the long run are going to be really, really happy that they were part of the journey. And we're still super early. I mean, again, we're super under undercover right now. No big
Oh yeah,
influencers have picked us up, or
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, you guys are super early. I've
yeah,
definitely got my eye. I'm looking at dips. I've got my eye on a few different projects I'm looking at for dips that I think are cool. And I think one word that I was trying to think of, like, I was like, what if we could just describe this project and this guy in one word? It would definitely be, for me, like like, I don't know if this is the one word, but like innovative is one of the first that comes to my mind, because you're not scared to pave a new road. Like this road of NFT gaming
yeah,
just started a month ago when I started talking about NFT gaming, like biopills. I was like, look, guys, profile pictures are coming not to an end, but people are getting tired of this. We need something
sure,
different. There's a different style of project
yes,
coming, and it's these
yeah,
access token projects where you get to be part of a full ecosystem functionality thing, and that's what I talk about pretty much exclusively now, because that's where we're at in the market. Profile picture projects are more or less
totally, yep,
last wave, so it's really cool. And you're talking about these
yes,
things that no one's really doing. There's no blueprint. You can't call someone and say, hey, how did you do this 5 years ago when you did it right? Because it doesn't fucking exist. So like,
right.
it's great and it's
No, it
awesome.
doesn't. Yeah.
So I love that. That's super cool. I think that I don't think there was any other like questions that we didn't already answer. Uh, yeah, I mean, we covered a shit ton of stuff, honestly, and we covered all the great things. And I think anyone looking for a long term hold, this is a I'm not going to put my name as this is going to be everything, but like, this is a safer project. If you're looking to get into an NFT project that's not 14 Ethereum already, and that you're like, I just want to buy it, I want to hold, I want to be part of it, and I just want to see what happens later on. These are the styles of projects you could be looking at. Biopills is another. You can be looking at
Yes.
projects like Doge Pound. They're looking to do some stuff like that. There's some smaller games. There's projects out there right now that I'm part of that the floor is like 0.01 or 0.05, and I'm like, there are projects out there. If you can take some of the things we talked about today, don't say take something that you just said and just apply it to the project you see to your left. Like, take some of the advice he said and we said together and apply them to your arsenal, which is your brain in this world. Everything matters. All the experience, all the podcasts you listen to. I'm glad everyone's watching. If you're watching this right now, you're watching the right style of content. These are the kind of things that are actually going to help you when we're running around in the metaverse in whatever avatars we have. And so I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And I feel like, man, there was so much
Yeah. Thanks
fucking
for
value
having
that
me.
came in this podcast. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, that I'm a true just I love the NFT space. I love investing in it myself. I love learning, and obviously I'm super passionate about my own project. But even
Mhm.
aside from that, I'm always down. I've told the Lad City guys and Cade and all the guys that I've worked with that yeah, anytime you just want to talk general NFTs, I've got so many freaking stories of where I lost money, made money. I mean, we could do just a like forget about Tim Koin Games. Just talk about Tim, the DGen
Oh,
investor,
same, dude.
and
Same.
we could just have some fun. So yeah, if you ever want me to come back on, you just hit me up and let me
Hell
know
yeah.
when. And it'd be cool to do like a general NFT,
Yeah.
like 5 ways I lost money and 5 ways I made money or something like that, and we could brainstorm some really good
100%.
content because I think that a lot of it's not the stuff that gets people hyped. They want this is the next 100x
Mhm.
play video with you with the big wide open mouth on the YouTube algorithm, and you'd probably be like crushing exactly right. That's what they
Yeah.
want. But the truth is that that's not really going to help people long term. It gives artificial whatever. I mean, I always every time I tell someone about my Bears Deluxe win, I always then follow that up with, let me show you all the other stuff that looks really similar that is
Did
dead,
not work.
right?
Yep.
And here's 10 Ethereum worth that I cannot even move from my wallet, and I'm giving it away as a joke on my Thursday night
I'm gonna
live
start
in
doing
my
that because I've got 20 or
it,
30 that are just nothing.
yeah, it's fun, and people actually really dig it. At first I was like, oh, people are gonna think this is so
Yeah.
stupid, winning an NFT that I'm admitting is worth no
Yeah.
money and
Yeah.
will never be worth money, and it's costing me more in gas really to send
To
it. Like
send
I
it.
probably
Yeah.
shouldn't even,
That's funny.
yeah, but they love it actually. I give
Yeah.
them choices and they're like laughing at the stuff that I chose, and I don't know. It's just it is a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
who knows, maybe one of these projects actually comes back one
It's
day and is worth
possible.
something, but. Yeah,
But
sure.
also
Yeah.
they
But
just they don't I don't think, I mean, if I did something like that, they don't give a shit if it's worth anything. They like you, Tim. Like, they're like, dude,
no.
Tim sent me an
Yeah.
NFT. The CEO of this
Yeah.
of this company just sent me a thing to my personal wallet. That's what people love, and that's what you've done an exceptional job at. And yeah, dude, like, you're just doing so great. It's cool watching this. It's cool. It's so refreshing, honestly, to talk to someone who shares some of these mindsets and has picked up on some of these things around the same times I'm picking them up. Because sometimes I feel like I'm yelling at a wall because I'm like, why is none of the big people in the space talking about this more? Like, why are they still, with the people with 1 million subscribers, 200,000 subscribers, 50,000, they're all still posting the same content. I'm like, when are we gonna level up this
Yeah.
game? And so it's really nice to talk to someone who
Yeah.
knows.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, the way the world works, even Becker said it like 2 days ago. He said, I post about projects mooning and I get 1,000 likes. I post about you should maybe sell. I think we're about to have a pullback. And he goes, I get like 10 likes.
Yeah.
He's like, Twitter's addicted to just the moon
Headlines.
boy mentality. And and so he's like, so it's like it forces the creators. It's pretty hard as a creator to I think like stay true to that sometimes, but you have to be willing to not have the big, or you filter it in, right? You have a
Yep.
mix of like, I found a good project, check it out. But yeah, so but yeah, I love this stuff, and I could definitely give a lot of good stories of what not to do, because I've learned a lot in the last 6 months, because I just went all in.
Same, dude.
Like, I
Same.
mean, every spare moment has been spent on researching, learning, minting, losing money, minting, making money, taking profits,
Yep.
immediately putting those profits into total garbage, losing all that money,
Always.
and immediately. There's this meme I saw the other day. It was like one of those, it's a video, but it's where they pull like the ram that fell in the ditch, they pull it out by the legs, and they get it out, and it like hops, and then dives right back into the thing again. And it basically
that's
said,
hilarious.
It goes me within minutes of selling, me within minutes, or my liquidity within minutes of me selling something at profit, and it's just like out of the hole, then back in the hole again.
Dude, the amount of times I've done that, it hurts me to know how much Ethereum I've lost doing that.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Oh, yeah.
I literally, here's one story just before we go off. This is my only regret in the whole NFT space. Everything else, I'm okay. I'm like, you know what, I learned. My only regret is I had Doge Pound, and I got rid of Doge Pound because I thought they were about to have a little bit of a winter, and I thought Galactic Apes were about to have a big thing, and I tried to trade. As soon as I sold my Doge Pound, floor tripled, went from 1.5 to 4 or something, and then Galactic Apes did absolutely nothing for 3 months, and I remember I sat there and I was like, never again in my entire life will I sell a project because I think it's going to go down for a few months. I was like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done, and I hate myself for that one thing. I'm like, no! But I'll be back. Doge Pound holders. I will be back, I promise.
Doge Pound will, they'll have their winters in between their next big like project, right? And I don't know if they have any great projects on the horizon, so they're gonna probably continue just to trickle down for the next little bit. So I think,
hoping so.
Now we could have a nice little if crypto takes some steps down, meaning like and I personally, I think it could. I think we could see about a 2-month kind of up down chop in crypto, kind of to the point where everyone starts calling for we're in the bear market, not coming back, and that's when it does its lengthening cycle, and we really see the real fireworks next year.
Likely.
But during that time, that would give us a very nice NFT Christmas and January and February. And if it happens to coincide with I don't know how ready Coinbase is, but if they launch during December, January, February, and if Twitter releases those, we are going to see in my opinion, a really amazing face melting NFT. But you got to know that when everyone is hyping everything going to the moon and stuff is like dropping, and then everything's selling out, and everything you mint is selling for 3 times that within minutes of the mint and all that, that is the warning signs. You got to remember it, because that's the problem for me too. It's like, I'm like, dude, this is insane. But then I get out of projects, and then I get right back in, and that's when you need to be like moving out. Yeah, and you just got to know when to exit, and your long-term ones you maybe just hold, but there are things where like, again, Doge was at 4 ETH at 3.7, and now it's back down at 1.8. So everything eventually does find another floor. Now that floor might be higher. Galactic Apes, I bought 2 Galactic Apes at 2 ETH plus, right? Now they're sitting at 0.4 or whatever, right? So
oh my God,
they will eventually release their... I think so. I think if we're talking about the same one, the one that goes on missions, and then they get the monkeys.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Did not know that.
Right. Yeah, they're down at 0.4, and now a lot of them minted their monkeys, right?
Sure.
So the monkeys already were pulled out of them. But you know, so I think I have three, one of each breed, and then I've got like uh, 3 monkeys or
Yeah.
whatever. So I have a full team. When they release their functionality, I think we'll see another nice wave up, and it could become like, again, almost like a Bears Deluxe type deal where we see a few ETH floor.
Yeah, I like their project.
But yeah, yeah, I like it too. But yeah, I thought to myself, oh, dude, I can't miss the boat. Got to get in at 2 ETH. This will be 10
Yep.
ETH before we know it. And then sure enough, we're sitting at 0.4. So like, you can't ever think the price is never going to come down. It always will come down.
Yeah.
It always does.
I mean, for me, I just come up with an
It's been
entry
super
point.
cool.
Yeah, I do an entry point. I do an exit point.
Yeah.
Every other number doesn't matter. I'm like, look, if I buy in here, this is where I sell. If it's not one of these numbers, it doesn't affect me at all. And so whether it goes up or down, it's just noise, you know, and you know this. And honestly,
that's great.
That's all there is. And so I'm definitely down to do another collaboration together on some kind of video. I think we have such a similar mindset that it would just be fireworks.
I agree. Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
100%.
Yeah, so let's do it, Cade. Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah,
This has been really cool.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, I'm going to leave all the Koin Games and Timothy's stuff down below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Drop a like in this video. Comment, what should we do a code word? What kind of word should we do? Coin? Or something?
For what?
It's a little code word for people who made it to the end.
Coin.
Okay, all right. Comment coin if you made it to the end. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace.